Do you wish you were more effective at your role or your work and find that sometimes you are your own biggest obstacle to success and moving forward? What I want to talk to you today is about effectiveness as it pertains to mindset and delegation. This is a skill set and mindset that leaders will continue to develop in varying degrees throughout their leadership careers, and often is a very new skill set and mindset to those who are newly promoted. So I talk about it as skill set and mindset because when we find ourselves overthinking things or getting into a space where we feel like we've got too much to do and not enough time to do it, and we're maybe sometimes indecisive about what to do and when to do it, prioritization, it comes to the skill of mindset. Mindset is about how we are using our thinking to either move us forward in a helpful, inspired action way, or how we keep ourselves stuck in unhelpful, blaming, shaming, judging thinking patterns. So, the first question I want you to think about is one, if we were to put all your thoughts up on a projector and sort them into two buckets, one of helpful, supportive, inspired action thinking, or one into judgmental, critical, self-sabotaging thinking, which bucket would be more full? Yeah. So the key thing we want to notice there is anytime we're having overthinking things, judging ourselves, blaming ourselves, that is unhelpful thinking pattern that is going to diminish our effectiveness at whatever it is that we're doing. Instead, we want to invite in nurturing, supportive thinking patterns that help us to take inspired action. We want to be building up that type of thinking versus the judgmental thinking patterns. Now, how does that relate to delegation? Well, often as you grow in leadership responsibilities from individual contributor to maybe CEO or executive, you're needing to shift more and more what you focus your attention and work on. Of course, as an individual contributor, we're directly engaged in the impactful work. And then as we go up, the work shifts more to be about managing others, leading others, or even, at the executive level, high level thinking, strategy, and decision making. And delegation, how we do that is how well we do that will determine how effective we are as a leader. So today around delegation, I want to talk to you about the 4 stages of delegation. Within each of those stages, there can be, sequences within those. But overall, there are 4 stages that we have to become familiar with to learn how to delegate. And delegation is a skill. It is not something we automatically know how to do or automatically know how to do well. So if you've been blaming yourself for not being a good delegator, but you've never learned how to delegate, that's a problem. So we're going to learn some steps today. So the 4 kind of segments of delegation is 1, determining what should be delegated. 2, determining who should it be delegated to. 3, determining what is the process I'm going to give to delegate this to this other person? And then 4, what's the timeline I'm going to do that? And how do I inspect what I expect? This is a key part that many people often forget about in delegation. So I'm going to go into each of those just a little bit deeper. What should be delegated? What's often helpful here is to come up with 3 or 4 questions that you can ask yourself as a determination on what should be delegated. So here's an example of 4 questions that you could use. Is this something that I have to do myself? So typically in every role, there are a few things that are genuinely things that you need to have your own fingerprint on individually. Those are the things you definitely need to prioritize doing. But if it's not something that you absolutely need to have your own fingerprint on individually, then is it something that could be done by someone else? So another question is, do I have time to do it? So it could be that you could do it or you could delegate it, doesn't matter either way, but do you have time to do it? So that's a determination on whether it's something that can get handed off. Who else, question number 3, who else might do this for you? So who on your team might already have the skill set to do it, or is maybe doing something similar already that would be very easy for them to take over the task? Or the other question is, if it's the person, if somebody, the person who should be doing it doesn't have those skill set, then we need to be cognizant to leave time to teach them what we want them to do. And then, of course, question 4 is, what's the time frame that I'm going to delegate this in? Am I going to delegate this next week? Am I going to delegate it 6 months from now? Okay. So those 4 questions go in the first quadrant about what should be delegated. The next question around who should it be delegated to, a deeper level of that, depends on skill and will. So you're thinking about who might already have the skill set, or if they don't have the skill set, how do I develop that skill set in them? There will be things all the way from things on your plate that will just be simple and easy to hand to someone else, and they'll already know what to do with that. They'll be prepared to do that and take off running with it. And then there are going to be things on your plate that require much more process in teaching the next person how to do that. And so that's the thing about thinking about the next step is the steps to delegation. We're not going to go into those in depth today, but steps to delegation depend on the skill of the person you're delegating it to. So delegation is not just handing this to someone and saying, here, do it, unless you absolutely know they already have the skill to do it. Delegation is about teaching them, showing them what you want to do, teaching them how to do it, letting them do it on their own, developing a check-in process while they build their skill for that. And then that leads to the 4th segment or quadrant around delegation is, how do I set up a process to inspect what I expect on an ongoing long-term basis? This is where people often have tried to delegate something in the past, but then the person they delegated it to, they haven't spent sufficient time teaching them or training on them how to do it. So it's not done up to their expectations. And so instead of working with that person to bring it up to expectations, they just say, oh, we'll see, it's easier for me to do it myself because they didn't do it right, and that they take the task back. That is not fair to the person you delegated to, nor is it fair to yourself. So learning how to develop a process of inspecting what you expect, and that should be on an ongoing basis, right? So because the things that we're not inspecting on a or having some way to track as a metric are things that could blow up in our face down the road. So that is the four kind of quadrants around delegation and a little bit of a look at how you would navigate each of them. And what's the impact of this? Well, having a delegation plan or building your skill set around delegation will help you spend less time in an unhelpful mindset. So instead of thinking about it or overthinking it, you can just run it through this process, the delegation process, and be in action. Because often action takes away that gap where our mind would have had space to judge and blame and complain ourselves or others. So it gives you a process, it gives you action to take, and it closes the gap in the space where we're just thinking about something but not doing anything about it, which can be an exhausting place to be, where we've got this thing on our mind, but we've not taken any action around it. Okay, so I hope that you have learned some things around mindset and skill set around delegation today. And I appreciate you being here with me. If you know someone who's just been newly promoted into a leadership position, please share this video with them, because one of the most frustrating things for new leaders is having a real ability to discern what and how to delegate things. So I am Authentic Leadership Coach Vicki Haddock, and I appreciate you being here today. And if you've found value in this conversation, please give a like or a thumbs up to the video and consider sharing it somewhere within your network. Have a great day.